Hello, good morning student. Welcome on my YouTube channel Economics with Sunita Sharma. Today we will do government budget and the economic chapter number 9 रहेगा, class 12th रहेगी. This is very important video for English medium student and it is also important for Hindi medium student. But मैंने हिंदी मीडियम में अपने चैनल पर जो है करवाया हुआ है चैप्टर फुल, आप जाकर देख लीजिएगा. चैप्टर का नाम डालेगा इकोनॉमिक्स विद सुनीता शर्मा. यूट्यूब पर जाइएगा और चैनल सर्च कीजिएगा तो आप जो है हिंदी में एच टेट की प्रिपरेशन कर सकते हैं. हिंदी मीडियम में NVS KVS DSSV वाले बच्चे जो हैं, सी को फाउंडेशन वाले बच्चे मेरे चैनल के साथ जुड़िएगा. दिस इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट वीडियो फॉर एग्जाम ऑफ यू. 1 and more क्वेश्चंस एवरी एग्ज़ाम्स एवरी ईयर जो है इस यहाँ से क्वेश्चन आया हुआ है. तो लेट्स सी गवर्नमेंट बजट एंड द इकोनॉमी. कंसेप्ट ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट बजट एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ गवर्नमेंट बजट. स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ द बजट. बजट रिसिप्ट, रिवेन्यू रिसिप्ट, टैक्स एंड नॉन टैक्स रिसिप्ट आएगा इसमें. माइनस कैपिटल रिसिप्ट. नेक्स्ट बजट एक्सपेंडिचर, रिवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर एंड कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर. बजट डेफिसिट कैसे निकालते हैं, रिवेन्यू डेफिसिट, फिक्सल डेफिसिट और प्राइमरी डेफिसिट. Concept of the government budget. Government what is the definitions of government budget? Budgets. Last day of month February is well known as India's a day when the finance minister present annual budget of the government. The budget unfold the financial performance of the government over the past of 1 year and the financial program and the policy of the government for the next and 1 year. Okay. This is objective of the government budget. High rate of GDP growth. Okay. Maintain the high rate of GDP growth. Make investment expenditure on infrastructure including roads, dams, related project. Investment friendly environment is the rated economy. Higher investment leads to the higher GDP growth. Okay. Next point, it will become balanced regional growth. While allocating funds on infrastructure development, focus is placed on the development of backward recognized country. CEG, it means special economic zone, is an important step towards the development of backward regions. Okay. इसको ध्यान केयरफुल रीड कीजिएगा. स्पेशली इकोनॉमिक जोन, SEZ, स्पेशली इकोनॉमिक जोन्स, important step toward development of backward region. Relocation of resources. Relocation resources are located to the production of those goods which yield high profits. Profit is the force of the production's activities. Social welfare losses is significant. The government correct the allocation of resources through its tax policies. Okay. Provision of the public goods. Supply and demand focus in market economies of not allow enough the production of public good. Reproduction of the income and wealth. And next point and last point, it will become economic stability. Economic stability is an important focus area on the fiscal policy. The person appreciate fiscal policy. The government tries to correct the situation of inflationary and deflationary gap in the economy. Next point, it will become revenue receipt are further classified as the tax. ये हमारा रिवेन्यू रिसिप्ट में आएगा. रिवेन्यू रिसिप्ट में देखिए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ द रिवेन्यू रिसिप्ट, टैक्स रिसिप्ट एंड नॉन टैक्स रिसिप्ट. इनकम टैक्स, कॉरपोरेशन टैक्स, एक्साइज ड्यूटी, गिफ्ट ड्यूटी, कस्टम ड्यूटी, एक्साइज ड्यूटी, ये हमारी एस्टेट ड्यूटी है. गिफ्ट टैक्स, कस्टम टैक्स, एक्साइज ड्यूटी एंड सेल टैक्स. सेल टैक्स यानी कि बिक्री टैक्स. नॉन टैक्स रिवेन्यू रिसिप्ट. ओके. फीस है, फाइन्स है, एसटीट है, स्पेशल असेसमेंट है. इनकम फ्रॉम द सेल ऑफ द स्पेक्ट्रम लाइक 2G एंड 3G. इनकम फ्रॉम द पब्लिक एंटरप्राइजेज, ग्रांट एंड डोनेशन. दिस इज नॉन टैक्स रिसिप्ट्स. ओके. Next point, it will become progressive tax and regressive tax. This is very important point. A tax is said to progress when the rate of tax is increased with the increase in income. Okay. Regressive tax is the said to be regressive. It is cause a greater real burden on the poor than the rich persons. Value-added tax. Value-added tax, indirect tax, which is imposed on value added at the various stages of productions. Specific tax is commodity is the basis of unit size weight is called the specific tax. Direct tax, indirect tax, Next step it come non-tax receipt fees. Examples है loan, land register fees, birth and death registration fees, passport fees, court fees. ठीक है, this ये receipt जो है non tax receipt होती है. Fine are those payment which are made by the law breakers to the government. Those are the economic punishment to breaking law. They not to earn revenue. As it, some people leave property without a legal heir. The government makes revenue out of it. It called as it. Especially assessment, income from the public enterprises, income from the sale of spectrum like 2G and 3G, grant donations and capital receipt. Next point it will become capital receipt. Capital receipt. These receipts create a liability for the government. For example, loan by the government are liabilities. These are the paid back and there are for the capital receipt to the government. These receipt cause reductions in the assets of the government. Next point will become capital receipt, recovery of loans and borrowing and other liabilities and other receipts. Okay, recovery of loans, borrowing and other liabilities and other receipts. Next point, budget expenditure. It's a revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Revenue expenditure does not create any asset for the government. Second point, it does not cause any reduction in the liabilities of the government. Ways will be government interest payment, expenditure on subsidy, defense purchase. Capital expenditure, it creates asset for the government. Equity share of the domestic multinational corporation purchased by the government, maybe cities as a good example. Capital expenditures. Okay, plan and non-plan expenditure and revenue expenditure plus my capital expenditure. Total government expenditure, plan expenditure plus non-plan expenditure. Budget receipt, revenue receipt, capital receipt. revenue receipt, टैक्स रिसिप्ट, इनकम टैक्स, एक्साइज ड्यूटी वगैरह वगैरह. नॉन टैक्स रिसिप्ट, फीस, फाइन्स, अभी मैंने रीड किया था हमने ये पॉइंट सारे. कैपिटल रिसिप्ट में आएगा हमारा रिकवरी ऑफ लोन्स, बोरोविंग फॉर अदर लाइबिलिटीज एंड अदर रिसिप्ट. ठीक है, डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट. बजट एक्सपेंडिचर, रिवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर एंड कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर एंड प्लान एंड नॉन प्लान एक्सपेंडिचर. ये टेबल है, इसको केयरफुली रीड कर लेना. These 3 points are very important point. Revenue deficit, fiscal deficit and primary deficit. Revenue deficit is equal to revenue expenditure minus revenue, and revenue deficit excess of revenue expenditure over revenue receipt. Okay, revenue expenditure minus revenue receipt, revenue expenditure greater than revenue receipt. So revenue receipt, revenue expenditure and revenue receipt. Next point, it will become fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit, it include these are total expenditure, revenue expenditure plus में capital expenditure minus में total receipt other than borrowings, and revenue receipt plus capital receipt other than borrowings. BE minus BR other than borrowings. B greater than BR. Okay. Last point, it's a very important point. Primary deficit is equal to fiscal deficit minus my interest of payment. Okay, that's a very important video, very important chapter for exam of you. इकोनॉमिक्स के स्टूडेंट जो है चैनल के साथ जुड़िएगा. इवन जो CA को फाउंडेशन से हैं तो मेरे चैनल के साथ जुड़िएगा. लाइक शेयर सब्सक्राइब जरूर कीजिएगा. गवर्नमेंट बजट एंड द इकोनॉमी, आपका चैप्टर रहेगा गवर्नमेंट बजट एंड द इकोनॉमी.